Hello guys, and shalom from Israel. Unfortunately, I still haven't figured out how to enable automatic translation into English of my, mostly Russian videos in YouTube. So it should be translated automatically, but I have no idea how to make it. So basically, today I just wanted to talk about the deep crisis in the struggle of the recognition of the Armenian genocide. But first of all, a few words about myself. So my name is Alexander Lapshin. I'm a Russian Israeli blogger and journalist. I was born in the ex-Soviet Union 49 years ago, and my family moved to Israel in 1990. So starting from 1990, I live in Israel and I traveled the globe. For today, I visited 156 or 57 countries, including unrecognized countries, unrecognized states, like Artsakh, Nagorno-Karabakh, which just ceased to exist 2 years ago due to Azerbaijani occupation. I was arrested illegally in the Republic of Belarus back in 2016, December 2016. You can see it here. I was arrested in request of Azerbaijan because of my visit to Artsakh, Nagorno-Karabakh. I was illegally extradited to Azerbaijan by the personal jet of President of Azerbaijan, Ilham Aliyev. And I spent 9 months in the jails of Belarus and Azerbaijan. And finally I was assaulted and almost killed in Azerbaijani prison. I was beaten by 4 masked Azerbaijanis. And then I was released. I applied to the European Court of Human Rights in Strasbourg, in France, and I won the case, and the Republic of Azerbaijan was found guilty of illegal arrest, torture, and attempted murder against me. I was awarded with the compensation that the Azerbaijani government actually refused to pay. And then I applied to the Committee of Human Rights of the United Nations, and I won once again, and both the Republic of Belarus, ruled by the dictator Alexander Lukashenko, and Azerbaijan were found guilty in the same, basically, of illegal extradition and attempt murder. So just a brief about myself, right? And now let's go back to the crisis in the struggle of the recognition of the Armenian genocide. So the recent statement by Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu about his own recognition of the Armenian genocide and the emotional reaction of the Armenians actually have once again showed that the struggle for the recognition of genocide is really in a huge strategical crisis. Only 34 countries out of 193 or 94, how many countries in the world? 193, I think, countries of the world have officially recognized the genocide, and this is very little. So just 34 out of 193. So it's like 20% or less, 18%. And this is very bad, since this huge crime committed in 1915 against the Armenians in the Ottoman Empire should not be forgotten. Even the Armenian neighbors, like Georgia, Republic of Georgia, not Georgia, State of Georgia, United States, Republic of Georgia and Iran, which for some reason are considered as brotherly and friendly for Armenian people, still did not recognize the Armenian genocide. Did you know that? So basically, all the neighbors of Armenia, I'm not talking about Azerbaijan and Turkey, who actually committed Armenian genocide, but even Georgia and Iran did not recognize the genocide of the Armenian people. But blaming everyone around for the lack of strategy and political will is kind of, it's not smart, if not to say stupid. The Armenians themselves are incapable of agreeing among themselves and developing a common goal and action plan. So why to be offended by distant countries like, Africa and South America and Australia or somewhere? Guys, so don't be offended that countries did not recognize the Armenian genocide, because most of the people in these countries, they have no idea where is the Republic of Armenia on the world map. So you have to convince them to recognize. So this is expression in better to say Russian fairy tale. So go there and don't know where and bring me that, I don't know what. So the fairy tale is perfectly reflects the state of Armenian society. So even the struggle for recognition of the Armenian genocide from the beginning was initiated by the Jew Raphael Lemkin and the Norwegian Fridtjof Nansen. So in fact, the term of genocide was invented by Lemkin in, I think, in 1934, and then he tried to achieve the recognition of the Armenian tragedy in the United Nations. So today, most of the Armenians are convinced that all the troubles of Armenian people, the Republic of Armenia, come from Israel. So basically, this is, I would say, kind of anti-Semitism against Jews. So this came from the ex-Soviet Union. And unfortunately, this is a part of the Armenian society. So based on the opinion of a lot of people in Republic of Armenia, Israel is to blame for all the troubles of the Armenian people. And you know, most of the Armenians actually convinced that Israel is the only country that did not recognize the genocide of Armenians. So many are not even aware that not a single country in Asia and Africa has recognized Armenian genocide, plus Australia and New Zealand and few countries in South America. So do you know that a part of Russian Federation, not a single ex-Soviet countries, I mean, except of Latvia, Lithuania and Estonia, who are now part of the European Union. So rest of the countries of the ex-Soviet Union did not recognize genocide of Armenians. Did you know that? So what does it mean? I mean, today, 110 years later, if a country, let's say African Zimbabwe or Congo, recognize the Armenian genocide, what does it mean? Let's think rationally. An Armenian delegation comes to, let's say, Zimbabwe, okay, just an example, and says, please make us a favor, recognize Armenian genocide. To which they, I mean, who had no idea who Armenians are. So, but they smell money, the question of money, and answer the Armenians. And what we're going to get in return if we are ready to recognize. So they basically don't care about the Armenia and about the Armenian genocide. But if you come to them, to some distant country, and you try to convince them to recognize genocide for some reason, so you have to think what to bring them in return. So after that, the president of Zimbabwe calls the Turkish president Erdogan and asked, you know, Armenians came to me and they said, please recognize the genocide. So how much you're willing to pay to us in order to not to recognize the Armenian genocide? So unfortunately, this disorganized and contradictory approach of the Armenians themselves to the struggle for recognition of the Armenian genocide led to the fact that it became simply a tool for manipulation by dozens of countries around the world, not only by Israel, but most of the countries of the globe. So instead of being offended by the hundreds and plus countries of the world who are not ready to recognize Armenian genocide because they do not want to spoil their relations with the Republic of Turkey and Azerbaijan, guys, you need to think about how to motivate these countries, so convince these countries to make such a decision. You need to be smart and cunning and not to wait for somebody to be more concerned about your tragedy than their own troubles. You know, you need to learn how to seize the right political moment, to find this moment, to invest money in lobbying your interests abroad. You don't have money to bribe the president of Zimbabwe and Tanzania? Okay. Then convince your pro-Armenian congressman in the United States to allocate some humanitarian aid to this poor African country. So it's clear that this aid will be stolen and put in the pocket of the officials in Africa because of corruption. But this is no longer your concern, and this is not your business. They will sign where it is necessary to sign. So this is how the world works, whenever you like it or not. And your lovely, so-called lovely Turks and Azerbaijanis are acting in the same way exactly. You cannot fight your enemies with your principles against the corruption. You have to learn how to cope with this kind of struggle. So Dear Armenians, just two simple questions for you. The first one, okay? Where are the lawsuits against Turkey for the stolen Armenian property? Actually, not stolen, robbed and killed Armenian property, and I mean in Western Armenia, which is today Eastern Republic of Turkey. After all, there are plenty of documents from those years of genocide about the ownership of the land, a property. And even 20, 30 years ago, thousands of Armenians who actually experienced the genocide and survived were still alive. Today, of course, we have no survivors of the Armenian genocide, but 20, 30 years ago we had it. So, has anyone systematically collected the testimonies for the future lawsuits? This is the question. Please tell me, yes or no? Question number one. So, what does the tragedy of Artsakh exactly repeat? The complete failure of recognition of genocide of 1915. Why? Where is the clear and understandable policy of the Armenian state, Republic of Armenia, and Armenian diaspora in the recognition of expulsion, forceful expulsion of Armenians from Artsakh back in 2023, just 2 years ago, and filing the lawsuits against Azerbaijan for the lost property and lost lives? Where? Simple question, right? One more moment. While I was writing these lines, I received the comment. I'm just now talking, and I see in my laptop comments from Armenian subscriber. Alexander, why didn't you organize a rally in defense of the Armenian quarter in Jerusalem? Well, I have to organize rallies in Jerusalem in support of Armenian Patriarchate? What's going on? And actually I hear a lot of complaints from Armenians to me. Mr. Lapshin, why didn't you speak in the United Nations once again in support of Armenia? Because 2018, almost 7 years ago, I was invited to the Committee of Human Rights of the United Nations in Geneva, and then I appeared in the United Nations in New York. I really talked about Armenian genocide and crimes committed by Azerbaijan against me personally and against the Armenians. But it was 7 years ago. So people actually, I see one more comment. Lapshin, why don't you explain to Netanyahu that supplying weapons to Aliyev is bad? I can't believe this, guys. I only think that I want to answer them is, dear guys, I don't have to do anything. I do my best to support you guys, but I'm not Armenian. I suffered from the Azerbaijani regime myself. I was almost killed in Azerbaijani prison, but I applied with lawsuit against the Republic of Azerbaijan, and they won my case in Strasbourg. And I won my case in the Committee of Human Rights of the United Nations. I did it as a personality. But what's going on with you guys? You're asking me to protect you? Very nice. But unfortunately, I have neither extra money or opportunity to solve your problems, dear my Armenian friends. So you will say, okay, many people will tell me, don't listen to such kind of, stupid people that comment in social media. Okay, I agree. But unfortunately, the tragedy is that exactly the same approach is felt in Armenia, as Republic of Armenia, and in the diaspora at all levels. I feel the same. Please help us. We're very poor. We experience genocide. Help us. But just try to do something yourself, guys. Try to do something. I can't believe this. Everyone around is to blame. And we're so poor and miserable. This is very wrong approach, leading to the abyss. This is basically all I wanted to say. And I really do my best. But I am a simple person with even lower than average income. I do my best. I am using my own resources to fly to New York, to Geneva, to Brussels, to support the Armenian case. I can do very little. I have no, tools to solve the Armenian problems, but I do my best. But do something yourself, guys and girls. That's all, basically. And now you can see a short video about what I do in the Armenian fields, about my trips to Australia, States, France, Mexico, and a lot of places, even Japan. a lot of places around the globe, and I do my best to support the Armenian case. You can see it. And now, thank you so much for listening, and goodbye. Shalom from Israel.